My wife Sarah was committed to Meadowbrook Psychiatric Hospital 6 weeks ago. We had been married for 4 years and never had any serious problems.
She was a teacher. She loved her job, and her students loved her. Then suddenly, everything changed.
Her sister Linda started spreading rumors that Sarah was having a mental breakdown. Linda claimed Sarah was acting paranoid and irrational.
She filed a petition to have Sarah involuntarily committed. I was away on a business trip when it happened. By the time I got back, Sarah was already at Meadowbrook, and Linda had been appointed her temporary guardian.
I was furious, but the lawyers told me there was nothing I could do until the mandatory evaluation period was over.
The first time I visited Sarah, I was shocked by what I saw. Meadowbrook was located about an hour outside the city, surrounded by farmland.
The building looked more like a prison than a hospital. High fences topped with barbed wire. Security cameras everywhere.
Heavy metal doors with electronic locks. I had to go through 3 checkpoints just to get to the visitors area. When they finally brought Sarah out, I barely recognized her. She had lost weight, her eyes were hollow and surrounded by dark circles. There were bruises on her arms.
James, you have to get me out of here. I'm not crazy. Linda did this on purpose. She wants my inheritance money. They're drugging me. They won't let me make phone calls. Please believe me.
I wanted to believe her, but the staff had warned me that patients often make accusations like this. They said it was part of her paranoid delusions. A doctor named Dr. Brennan sat down with us. He was a man in his 50s with gray hair and a calm demeanor.
Your wife is experiencing acute paranoid episodes. She believes her family is conspiring against her. These delusions are quite common in cases like hers.
We're treating her with antipsychotic medication and therapy. With time, she should improve.
Sarah started crying.
I'm not delusional. Linda forged documents. She lied to the judge. James, you know me. Do I seem crazy to you?
I looked at her carefully. She seemed completely lucid and rational. But I'm not a doctor. I don't know what mental illness looks like. Dr. Brennan smiled sympathetically.
It's difficult for loved ones. The patient can seem perfectly normal in controlled settings, but we see the episodes when they happen.
Trust me, she's exactly where she needs to be. Over the next 2 weeks, I visited Sarah every chance I could. Each time she looked worse.
The bruises on her arms were getting darker. She moved slowly, like she was heavily medicated.
But her story never changed. She insisted she was being held against her will. She claimed the staff was forcing her to take pills that made her feel like a zombie. She begged me to look into Linda's financial situation. Check her bank accounts, she pleaded.
I know she's stealing from my trust fund. That's why she needed me locked up.
I decided to do some investigating. I hired a private investigator to look into Linda's finances. What he found was shocking.
Linda had been embezzling money from Sarah's trust fund for over a year. She had forged Sarah's signature on multiple documents, transferring funds into her own accounts.
When Sarah started noticing the discrepancies, Linda panicked. She needed a way to discredit Sarah and gain control of the remaining money. Having Sarah committed to a psychiatric hospital was the perfect solution, as Sarah's guardian Linda now had full access to all of Sarah's assets.
I immediately contacted a lawyer and showed him the evidence.
He said we could file an emergency motion to have Sarah released, but it would take at least a week to get a court date.
In the meantime, Sarah was still trapped in that place. I went back to Meadowbrook, determined to get answers.
I demanded to speak with the hospital administrator. A woman named Mrs. Chen met with me in her office.
I explained what I had discovered about Linda's fraud. I showed her the investigator's report.
Mrs. Chen looked at the documents and then looked at me with a cold expression.
Mr. Harrison, these are serious allegations. However, your wife was committed by a court order. We cannot release her without another court order.
I understand that, but you must see that she's not actually mentally ill, I argued.
This is a mistake.
Mrs. Chen stood up.
Our psychiatric evaluation concluded that your wife meets the criteria for involuntary commitment.
Until a judge says otherwise, she remains our patient. I suggest you work through the proper legal channels.
I left her office frustrated and angry. Something felt very wrong about this place.
As I was walking through the parking lot, I noticed a man standing by my car. He was in his early 60s wearing casual clothes.
Excuse me, are you Sarah Harrison's husband?
Who are you?
My name is Paul Mitchell. My daughter was a patient here 2 years ago. I heard you asking questions about the hospital, and I thought you should know something.
He looked around nervously. This place isn't what it seems.
They keep people here longer than necessary because they get paid by insurance companies for each day. The longer someone stays, the more money they make.
They'll diagnose anyone with anything to justify keeping them. What happened to your daughter? I asked.
She was admitted for depression after a divorce. She should have been released after 2 weeks. Instead, they kept her for 6 months.
They said she was suicidal, even though she never attempted anything. By the time I finally got her out,
She had developed a real drug dependency from all the medications they forced on her. She died of an overdose 8 months later.
I felt sick. Did you report them? Paul laughed bitterly.
I tried. I filed complaints with every agency I could find. But Meadowbrook has connections.
The medical board cleared them of any wrongdoing. The state inspector who investigated the hospital was later hired by Meadowbrook as a consultant.
My advice to you is get your wife out as fast as you can. Don't let them keep her any longer than necessary.
I went home that night and couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about what Paul said.
The next morning, I got a call from my lawyer. He had filed the emergency motion, and we had a court hearing scheduled for 3 days from now.
I called Meadowbrook to tell Sarah the good news, but they said she couldn't come to the phone. When I demanded to know why, they said she had a psychiatric episode and was in isolation. I drove to the hospital immediately and demanded to see her. Dr. Brennan met me at the security desk.
Your wife had a violent outburst this morning. She attacked a nurse. For her safety and the safety of others, we've placed her in the secure unit.
She's been sedated and cannot have visitors right now.
I don't believe you, I said. I want to see her now!
Mr. Harrison Tutts, I understand you're upset, but these outbursts are exactly why your wife needs to be here.
She's a danger to herself and others. The sedation is for her own good.
Now I'm going to have to ask you to leave. If you continue to make a scene, I'll have security escort you out and ban you from visiting.
I had no choice but to leave. I called my lawyer and told him what happened. He said it was suspicious timing right before our court hearing. He advised me to document everything.
The hearing was in 2 days. On the morning of the hearing, I arrived at the courthouse early. My lawyer met me outside.
Sarah's attorney, Linda's lawyer, and Dr. Brennan were all there. When the judge called our case, Sarah was brought in wearing restraints and a hospital gown.
She looked barely conscious. Her head was drooping and she could barely stand. The guards had to hold her up.
My lawyer presented the evidence of Linda's fraud and argued that Sarah had been wrongfully committed. Linda's lawyer argued that Sarah's paranoid accusations proved she was mentally unstable.
Dr. Brennan testified that Sarah had become increasingly violent and was currently a danger to herself and others.
The judge examined all the evidence carefully. After nearly an hour of arguments, he made his ruling. Based on the financial evidence presented, it's clear that Ms. Linda Chen has engaged in fraudulent activity. I am ordering a full investigation into her actions and immediately revoking her guardianship. However, the court must still determine Mrs. Harrison's mental competency. I'm ordering an independent psychiatric evaluation to be conducted by a doctor not affiliated with Meadowbrook. Until that evaluation is complete, Mrs. Harrison will remain in psychiatric care.
I wanted to scream. Sarah was barely conscious in front of us, clearly over-medicated, and the judge was still keeping her locked up.
My lawyer quickly spoke up. Your Honor, given the questions about Meadowbrook's practices, I request that Mrs. Harrison be transferred to a different facility for the evaluation. The judge agreed and ordered Sarah transferred to County General Hospital's psychiatric unit within 24 hours.
The next day, I went to County General. Sarah had been transferred that morning. When I saw her, she was already looking better.
The doctors there had reduced her medications significantly. She was able to speak clearly for the first time in weeks.
James, I knew you'd figure it out. I was so scared. They were drugging me so heavily I couldn't think straight.
The independent evaluation took 3 days. The psychiatrist concluded that Sarah showed no signs of mental illness.
She had been experiencing anxiety and stress due to discovering Linda's theft, but that was a normal reaction to the situation.
The judge ordered her immediate release.
Oh my God!
It's okay, it's over now.
Sarah was finally free.
Linda was arrested and charged with fraud and conspiracy. The investigation into her crimes also revealed that Dr. Brennan had been receiving kickbacks from Linda for keeping Sarah committed. He was paid $5,000
for every month Sarah remained at Meadowbrook.
Dr. Brennan's medical license was revoked,
and he was arrested
as well. We learned that this wasn't the first time he had participated in schemes like this. He had been involved in at least 4 other cases where patients were wrongfully committed so that family members could steal their assets. The investigation into Meadowbrook revealed a pattern of abuse and fraud. The hospital had been deliberately over-medicating patients to keep them compliant.
They falsified medical records to justify longer stays.
Several staff members were fired, and the hospital lost its accreditation. It was eventually shut down.
We filed a lawsuit against Meadowbrook and settled for a significant amount.
But no amount of money could give Sarah back those 6 weeks.
She had nightmares for months afterward. She would wake up screaming, thinking she was back in that isolation room.
It took a year of therapy for her to recover from the trauma. The scariest part of this whole experience is realizing how easy it is to take away someone's freedom.
Once you're labeled mentally ill, no one believes anything you say.
Sarah told the truth from the beginning, but everyone dismissed her as delusional.
If I hadn't investigated Linda's finances, Sarah might still be trapped in that place.
How many other people are locked up in psychiatric hospitals right now because someone found it convenient?
Because someone wanted their money or wanted them silenced.
The system is supposed to protect vulnerable people, but sometimes it does the opposite. Sometimes the people running these institutions are the ones you need protection from. And once you're inside those walls, it's almost impossible to convince anyone that you don't belong there.